Hi there, and welcome to my first ever YouTube video. I've been posting speed builds on TikTok for a little bit now, so some of you might already know me from there, but for those who don't, hi, I'm Ren, and I love building in The Sims 4, so I'll probably be doing a lot of that on here. For my first video, I decided to do this Pinterest challenge where you type something up into Pinterest and try to recreate the first image that shows up. I got this idea from Sydney Macaretta here on YouTube. I'll link her channel in the description. She's so creative and she's really underrated, but her builds are just amazing. And as a fellow Canadian simmer, I really look up to her. And after giving this challenge a shot, I have a newfound respect for her because it is so much harder than it looked. The first thing I typed into Pinterest was simply house exterior, and this is the image that popped up. It gives me like modern farmhouse vibes with the white siding and the black details. The roof line was a bit hard to recreate in The Sims, especially that top bit above the front door, but I think I got it pretty close to the picture. And then you can see me struggle with the windows, especially for that front part that's meant to be, I think, like a garage, which later turned out to be the main bedroom because garages are a bit useless in this game. This build made me really thankful for that Windows update that we got a few years ago because it allowed me to stack a bunch of windows together to make like custom looking ones. Challenge was hard because when I saw the Pinterest images, my immediate thought was always, oh, I'm pretty sure we have something like that in the game. But then obviously I was severely disappointed because we did not. So yeah, it definitely tested my Sims 4 build by knowledge, that's for sure. The landscaping was a bit weird because it's really different to what I'm used to. I usually do much bushier landscaping, but that's often not realistic. So when these real images of houses, they tend to have a lot more minimal landscaping, which I kind of struggle to pull off. And I really had a hard time with those two little bushes in the front. Oh my god, the ones in the pictures were such a specific shape. They were like a little spiral, and I just could not find anything that was like even remotely close. So, I had to make do with these size down trees. I think it gets the point across, but still, I was really hoping for some funky ones. You can see me go through all the flowers in the game to try and match them. It was definitely a struggle. And like, I know everyone always says it, right? But we just need more landscaping in this game. I feel like all of my landscaping ends up looking the exact same, but it's just because we don't really have that many options. Anyway, now you can see me struggle with the fence. I wanted it to look like the picture in the screenshot, but it just looked too weird to have a random fence leading to nowhere. So I decided to just close the backyard in. I was surprised by how quickly I came up with the layout on this one. Definitely all of the little bump outs helped. I always find I have a harder time doing layouts in a very squared off, symmetrical house, so it was a bit easier in this one. And I always like to do the layout before I do the side and back windows, just so I make sure they line up with the rooms properly. And of course, I use the saucer light sized all the way down throughout the entire house because, let's be honest, nothing beats it. And then the next thing that I searched up on Pinterest was entrance. And this is the first image that it gave me. Again, it kind of fits the modern farmhouse vibes. When I saw the floors in the picture, I immediately thought of those get together flooring tiles that we have. I think it turned out pretty good. And then I tried to make this bench thing work with what we have. I ended up going with this, I think it's kids' room stuff ottoman. And then the next thing I looked up was kitchen. I couldn't find cabinets in that grayish blue, so I decided to try and match the handles instead with those Dream Home Decorator cabinets. These are by far my favorite in the whole game, so just be ready to see me use them absolutely everywhere. And then to recreate the double stacked ovens, I obviously had to cheat it, and as you can see, it kind of removed it immediately. I did put it back before uploading it to the gallery, but I really doubt that it's functional, so don't expect it to be. I just did it like that so that it would be as close to the Pinterest picture as possible. Now, as I struggle to make the island work because of the platform, you might have noticed that I forgot something maybe a tiny bit important in the kitchen. Yeah, I fully forgot to add a fridge. I think I was too focused on making it look like the picture that I completely forgot about it. Now, don't worry, I did add a fridge in the version that's up on the gallery. And my gallery ID is in the description if you're ever interested in downloading this build or any of my other ones. I do have quite a few up there. I'm still not over the fact that I forgot a fridge of all things. I feel so silly. Now, I don't have cool kitchen stuff, so I did have to improvise for the chopping board on the wall. I ended up placing kind of a flipped picture instead, but you can see I had to remove the wall to make it work. It was a whole thing, but I think it turned out fine. So that's the kitchen nearly done. And then the next thing I typed into Pinterest was dining room. And this is the image that I got as the first result. I think the vibes of this picture are a lot warmer and homier than the kitchen did. I really like this one, but unfortunately I couldn't find a wall that matched in colors, so I opted for one with the same paneling instead, but in a different color. Obviously, with this challenge, I am limited by what's in the game, so sometimes you have to make these little sacrifices and choose between two things that are a little off but give off the right idea. I did find the perfect chairs for this. Now, yes, one of those is a bench and is therefore not functional, but it looked exactly like the picture, so I just had to do it. And for the rug, I couldn't find one that I liked that was the right size and the right color and had the little tassels at the end, like in the picture. So I tried a little hack that I saw recently in one of Karen and Connie's YouTube channel, where you place a rug with tassels underneath another rug. And I think it turned out pretty cute here. I tried to decorate the table similarly with the leaves and the candles in the middle. It gave me kind of holiday vibes, so I really enjoyed it. And then on this little side table, I all placed a plant into a vase for a custom look. And then that's pretty much it for the dining room. So the next thing I typed up was living room, and it gave me this picture here. Now, this living room looks simple, but let me tell you, I struggled. Okay, first of all, I don't think it's very controversial if I say that we need more couches in this game. The couches on the Pinterest picture look like the most normal, basic couches ever, but I could not for the life of me find anything that looked the same, so I kind of went for this one, which is a bit more cream than white. And now the bookshelves, I was trying so hard to make it work, and if I'm honest, I don't love the final result. I ended up kind of flipping cabinets to make the fireplace seem a bit more off the wall, and then I had to kind of fill in the corners to make the bookshelves fit. And with that meant I had to delete the only window, so this room has like no natural light, which is a shame. This is honestly pretty painful to watch back because I remember the absolute struggle that I had with this wall. It's crazy. When I saw this picture on Pinterest, I thought, wow, piece of cake. This is going to be so easy. But this was by far the hardest room in the whole house to recreate for me. Now, as you sit there and watch me struggle, I would just like to take a moment and thank everyone who's coming here from TikTok. I'm absolutely overwhelmed by the love that I've been getting on there. Honestly, it's crazy. When I created my account back in January, I remember telling my fiance that I wanted to reach 10,000 followers and I think like 100,000 likes by the end of the year, which felt very ambitious. And we're just in March and I'm already more than halfway there. That's that's crazy to me. And I know that YouTube is a whole other beast, so I definitely don't expect the same numbers on here, but anything counts, and I'm so very thankful for all of you who are here right now watching this. It means the world to me. Building in this game is my absolute favorite thing to do, and I love getting to share that with everyone. Alright, back to this mess of a living room. I did have fun with the side tables and decorating those, and I was definitely happy to be done with those bookshelves, that's for sure. Now I'm just trying to fill in the blanks for the things that weren't shown in the picture, like the coffee table, the other side again, just kind of guessing what it could look like based on the picture. In the end, I think it turned out fine, but I was very happy to move on from this. The next thing I typed into Pinterest was half bath. Now I know there's a lot of words for these tiny bathrooms with no bath, but I went with half bath and this is what came up. Now, my half bath is obviously a completely different shape, but I tried to keep the vibe similar. Again, I struggled to find a good wallpaper, but this was the closest. I think it's the same one that I used in the dining room. It's from Cats and Dogs. I wish we had more paneling in this game now that it's kind of trendy again, but this definitely does the trick. And then the next thing I typed up was main bedroom on Pinterest, and this is the picture that I got. Now, I think the bedroom in the picture is absolutely gorgeous. I'm in a huge green phase at the moment, so this got me really excited until I remembered that all of the green swatches in The Sims are atrocious. Honestly, we really need better greens in this game. I'm definitely hoping for a base game swatch update in the future. I think we're like way overdue. They did one in the past where they recolored some windows and decor items, but I want them to do wallpapers so bad. Now, I think this room turned out pretty cool. I mean, these windows are a bit much, I won't lie. I definitely would not want to sleep there, but hey, it's The Sims. They don't care. And I think in the end it turned out pretty cute. And it was a great excuse to use the ceiling fan that I always forget about. Now it was time to move on upstairs, and I debated doing anything in the hallway, but I thought, why not? And decided to type up hallway in Pinterest. The first picture it showed me was the same as the entrance image, so I went with the second picture, which was this. It's very simple. There's not much to say about it really. It's a hallway. Definitely had to cheat a little bit for that hanging situation. And then I moved on to the hall bathroom, so I just typed up bathroom, and this was the first result. Now, this bathroom is my least favorite room in the whole house. And not because I don't like the picture, I think it's a gorgeous bathroom. Obviously, the green vanity is right up my alley, but I just feel like nothing turned out the way I wanted. For starters, the vanity is just the wrong green entirely. Again, it's a theme. This one is more of like a teal. As you can see, I kind of tried to cheat it using a cottage living side table, but it just wasn't working. And I tried so hard to create a fake shower curtain, but it just wasn't working again. And I think it's a bit stupid that we don't have more shower tub combos. I don't know about you guys, but almost every single house that I've ever been into has a shower tub combo like the one in the picture. I just wish we had more like that in The Sims. The next thing I looked up on Pinterest was the word nursery, and this was my first result. Now, I'll be honest, I only added a nursery in this build because I am so excited about the Infant Update and the Growing Together expansion pack that are coming soon. I usually only build in The Sims, but whenever I do actually play, I always gravitate towards family gameplay, so this is right up my alley. Actually, my best friend, who's probably watching this right now, hey girl, the second that the Growing Together expansion pack was announced, she texted me and she was like, "Oh my god, this was made for you. Like this is perfect. I know you're buying it." I think that does say a lot about my playing style. I think this nursery came out pretty cute. I wish we had real cribs. I'm really hoping that we get some base game ones with the update. Now, the next thing I looked up was Office, and this is the image that showed up. This is another example of the game catfishing me. When I saw this, I thought, oh, this will be easy. But no, I was wrong. I had to be sneaky to make the bookshelf work the way I wanted it to. I think it's close enough in the end, but definitely not my best work. For the other side of the room, since we can't see it in the picture obviously, I decided to turn it into a skill building area with an easel and a piano, so at least if you do want to play in this house, your Sims will have something to do. And then the next thing I looked up was teen bedroom, and this is what Pinterest gave me. When I looked up teen bedroom and saw this, I'll be honest, I laughed. This definitely looks like the type of bedroom that I would have tried to have as a teen, but we all know no teen bedroom actually looks like that. Well, at least I know mine didn't. This looks way too good to be an actual teenager's bedroom. I did play with the lighting in this room to make it look a bit more like the Pinterest version. Now, if you keep seeing me adjust the lighting like this in build mode, don't get too excited. The Sims team didn't finally give us the ability to change lighting in build mode. No, this is a feature from Twisted Mexie's Better Build By mod. I definitely recommend it if you build a lot in The Sims. It's a lifesaver. All the mods that I use are mentioned in the description below if you're interested. Now, the last room of the house was the kids' bedroom. And when I typed up kids' bedroom in Pinterest, this is what showed up. Now, with this room, I feel the need to preface that I am not pro sad beige rooms for sad beige children. But somehow, Pinterest thinks that I am. So, at least this room has some colors in it, but still, this is definitely not my style. But, you know, I was just trying to recreate it. Whenever I was trying to do that little reading nook, I really struggled. My version is definitely a lot more sad than the Pinterest one. And although I put kids' bedroom in Pinterest, this looks more like a playroom to me, so I had to kind of use my imagination for the actual bed and dresser portion. I could try to stay in the sad beige vibes for accuracy. And with that, that's the house done. So let's take a look at the side-by-side pictures. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and obviously it is my first one, so there is a lot of room for improvement, and I know that. I still have so much to learn, but I wanted to thank whoever is here and still listening. Like I mentioned earlier, the support that I've been getting on TikTok is overwhelming, and I'm incredibly thankful for those of you who are here right now watching this. If you could please subscribe and leave a like, that would really mean the world to me. I cannot wait to continue making more TikToks and videos for you guys in the future. And if you're seeing me for the first time ever, welcome. I do post quite often on TikTok if you want to look me up over there. I do really enjoy these build challenges, and I have a few more on my list, but please, if you have any ideas for other build challenges that you would like me to try, please let me know in the comments. I guess this is the great thing about following small creators. The chances that I will actually see your comment and make a video about it are very high. So please do leave them down there. I could always use some inspiration. Anyway, that's going to be all for me today. I really hope you enjoyed, and until next time, have a wonderful day. See ya!